Welcome to part 3 of our series on building this pattern projecting cutting table for sewists. Obviously, this work table could be used for all sorts of things, whether it be a kitchen island, a work table, a crafting table, whatever you need it to be. In this video, we're going to show you how to trim out the table to be pretty. We have tried to make this build as simple as possible so it's accessible to novice woodworkers to do themselves, but we also understand that you want to make this pretty. So we're going to show you in this video how we trimmed it out to add a little bit of flair, a little bit of customization, but still keep simple, clean lines that makes this a great work table. Alright, to get super tight fitting trim, start with a square edge, and we're not even going to use our tape measure. We're going to bump it up to the edge right here, just barely on the edge, hold it into place, mark it with our pencil. Now when we cut it, we're going to make sure to leave the pencil line. Most of the time I try to erase my pencil line with my saw blade. This time I'm going to leave it. I'm going to get that aligned where I'm going to cut just on the waist side of my pencil line. Alright, so I'm going to take it here and put it here. And it should press in, but it's not. And I actually counted on that. Now we need to just take a kiss off of this. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to lower our saw down all the way, and then we're going to butt our workpiece against the blade. What's happening is it's clearing the teeth because the teeth protrude ever so little wider than the blade. We're going to come up and now that took just the slightest little bit off. Now we're going to test fit it again. And I could make that work, but I'm going to do that same process one more time. So same thing again, lower my blade down, butt my piece into it, and now I'm not pushing hard, because if I push hard I can really deflect the blade. But I'm literally just butting it up against the blade. Taking a kiss off. Alright, now let's test it one more time. There we go. And now this fits into place, and you can see it's really nice, it's really snug. It's holding in with its own pressure, and we're going to have a seamless fit, which is exactly what we want there. Alright, I need to measure for my drawer faces now. Now my total opening is 37 inches. But I've also got to allow a little bit of clearance. So if I do 36 and 7/8, that should give me about a 1/16 on each side. My drawers, basically I've got a 1/4 inch between each drawer. And with this, I've even got a 1/4 inch with this trim piece. So my drawer fronts are going to be 4 1/8 inch. So hopefully it'll split the difference and I'll just have close to like a little 1/8 inch reveal right there. I'm hoping that works out well, but I'm going to test that first piece. And then if I have to go back and make these, you know, a little bit bigger, like 3/16, I can. I'll have the room. So I think a 1/16 is perfect. I've got room on each side, and I think this must have been like a little wide or something because my measurements aren't quite perfect. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm going to shim this up about 1/8 of an inch. About like that. And then I'll screw it from the front. I'm going to go check with my wife to see where she wants the drawer pulls. I'm going to go ahead and pre-drill my drawer pulls. And then I can just screw into that once I have it all shimmed into place where it's nice and even. And then I'll just, again, stack it up just like we did in the last video where we installed our drawers. Alright, now I'm going to lay out where I'm going to put my drawer pulls. My wife's going to use knobs, and so about right there is good. So I'm going to come in 8 inches. So I'm going to measure over 8 inches. Then I'm going to measure on this other side 8 inches. Right there. That feels about right. It's about shoulder width apart. That's good. So now I know I'm at 1 1/8 inches. So I'm going to measure down 2 1/16, and then I'm going to measure from the other side. By measuring from the other side, if there's any error in my measurements, I can correct for it. And then 2 1/16 is accurate. So now I'm going to square up my lines. And then I have my 2 1/16 mark right there. Double check it, we're good. Again, I'm going to square up my line. 2 1/16 right there. 2 1/16 right there. There we go. So that's what we want right there. That's where we're going to drill all of our pulls. A brad point bit is great for these kind of jobs because your point, you can align right with your cross and push down, and then you have basically a pilot hole that's going to help you get it to where you need to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Craig washer head screws. You'll notice they'll just drop in here. And then I have just a little tiny bit of wiggle room. That little bit of wiggle room is going to come in handy as we try to fine-tune everything. Alright, we have everything drilled out now. So I'm going to go ahead and set this into place. And now we're going to use playing cards to lay this out. So basically I'm going to grab as many playing cards as it takes to wedge into this gap right here until it's nice and snug. Yeah, I think I can squeeze one more in there. I want to basically make it as tight as possible. There we go. So that's tight, and then I cut the stack in half to split the difference. So I've got 1, 2, 3. There we go. Nice and tight, nice and spaced. That's how we want it. Now I still have to raise it up a little bit. And I've already decided I wanted that to be 1/8. This is the Woodpecker's Delve Square. This has become my absolute go-to square for almost everything because it makes laying out things as a woodworker great. Like a normal speed square or carpenter square, you've got your 45 degree right here, you've got your 90 right here, but this one's packed full of special features. The first one is you have all these little holes for laying out so you can easily scribe a line. The second thing is this bottom plate is exactly 3/4 of an inch wide. On this side, you can see the plate is 1/4 inch tall. Then you have your triangle beams right here. All of these are exactly 1/2 of an inch. The thickness of this is 1/8 of an inch. The height of this leg is 1/4 inch, and the height of this leg is 3/8 of an inch, which makes laying out and putting lines on different thicknesses of materials phenomenally easy. You also have this hole here that self-centers a drill bit exactly 3/8 of an inch from the edge of a board for 3/4 inch material. And that's what makes this square incredibly useful to have in the shop. Because the thickness of this plate is 1/8 of an inch, I can go ahead and kind of wedge it up until that fits right there. And we're good. And now I'm just going to see how many cards fits under there. At 1/8 of an inch. More than that. There we go. So I've got my cards here. So I'm going to count these. So I'm going to wedge that under there. And I've got my 15 cards on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that out. And then I'm going to count out 15 more cards over here. I've got my 15 cards here. And then I'll just wedge it underneath. There we go. So now I've got this drawer front essentially centered where I want it to be. And everything is laid out just so. That part is done, I'm going to go ahead and push in on my drawer. That way it's nice and steady. And I'm going to put my screw in. I'm going to try to center it in this hole as much as possible. And then that will be my drill location for drilling out the drawer box for the drawer pulls. There we go. Get that nice and tight. There we go. Alright, now we're just going to repeat this process all the way up. Now that I have my drawer fronts all installed, I can't actually open them because I don't have any pulls on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some masking tape, go ahead and tape it on the inside, come out a little bit, and then I'm going to fold it in on itself like that. And that's going to give me a little tab so I can open and close it. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 on each drawer. Alright, this is pretty well done. I am going to go ahead and trim out this edge so there's not any exposed plywood. Not sure how I'm going to do the other side. I'm going to have to do something clever with it while it's open, but that just might be plywood edge. You can also edge band this with some iron-on edge banding. I use a product called Fast Edge, which is a peel and stick product. I will link to the video where I cover that product in the description as well. So I've got everything pretty much trimmed out except the top now, and I'm going to trim that out. Went ahead and rabbited my trim, and then I put a 45 on the corner. So I'm going to make sure I get that lined up. And then I always like to draw out the angle that my trim piece needs to be. So that way I know how to set up my saw so I can get it perfect. Alright, so I've got it cut to size now. I'm going to test fit it into place. Make sure my angles line up. They do. And I actually got that perfect. I aimed for just a smidge long. And then I was going to fine tune it if necessary, but it's perfect. So my glue, I'm not going to use too much because I don't want to deal with a lot of squeeze out. But enough glue to do the job. Pushed all the way up. I'm a little bit proud, but I'll sand that down a little bit. And then I'm going to pop a nail in. Okay, come down a little bit more. Pop it in a nail. And right here. Now I'm going to do up to my wing, which is going to go right here. Alright, so that's going to go right here. See where that point matches up. My angle's good right there. And then I'm just going to mark my line right here at the edge of my work surface. Alright, so that's going to go like this. So now I'm going to run a bead of glue like I've done before. And then I'm going to put some glue right here because I want that miter to have some glue in it so it holds it tight. So I'm going to come here. We're going to work to spread that glue around by doing some back and forth motions. Push it tight to there. I'm not going to shoot a nail into this because it will split, but I am going to shoot a nail right here. So it's got nice and tight. I'm going to push in, make sure I'm not going to come through the top. Pop a nail in. Go over here, pushing it nice and tight again. I have a bad miter. It didn't line up perfectly right here, and I need to fix it. So I'm going to use my sander and some 180 grit, and you can see that's now smooth. Let's smooth this way, and then I've got to kind of go back and follow this contour down. So I'm going to come back and do the contour. There we go. There we go. And now we have a nice crisp miter that closes up how we need it to. So what I've done here is I've created just a little notch. That way as this opens, there's plenty of clearance for it to hinge like that and not get in the way. It actually folds out a little bit as it folds down, so it'll have plenty of clearance just with that little 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch notch taken out of it. Same thing as before. Put our glue. Make sure we get some in our miter. I forgot that. Okay, now we are going to test our hinge, see how that's doing, and that is perfect. We have just the clearance we need, no more, no less. So now when it opens up, it butts up there, and I forgot to round that over, so that was my bad. But we're good, so that works. Thank you for watching this video all the way through. If you have a question on this build series, be sure to leave a comment below. We do have plans available for this project on my wife's website, DaileyStowsAndStuff.com, and then my woodworking website, therecreationalwoodworker.com, where we help you build great furniture. So check it out there. Buy the plans below to support us. We have longer forms of all of these videos that come with the plans, so you can follow along step by step to build this yourself.